It's Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers with tips and advice on landscaping and gardening. Here's Fernando Martinez.
Yes, indeed. I am here, and welcome to you. Thank you for joining me here on this Patio Side Chats today. Today's topic, I would like to talk about communicating with your contractor. And I think communication is absolutely huge, and I've been thinking a lot about it this week, and so I thought that would be a great topic for today's show. If you miss any of these shows, or if you want to hear this show, if you don't get to catch it all, you can always go to our YouTube channel, Chaparral Pavers on YouTube, so check it out. Now, what is the best way, and this kind of goes for communication across the board for all forms of communication. When we're communicating with people, we have so many options these days with all these different formats, email, voicemails, text messages, the social media things and leaving messages, even to contact a contractor. There's so many different ways now. It used to be pretty simple. You pick up the phone, you call somebody, there's a person on the other line, you talk to them, you communicate with them. But there's so many choices these days. I wanted to kind of go over what I thought, the experiences that I've had, and have you consider, what is the best way and are you able to get your message across exactly to a contractor or someone you're trying to communicate with who's going to be doing work for you, and how that applies to these jobs. And, my experience personally as a contractor and in that loop and that mix of myself trying to figure out what's the best way to communicate with clients. And so really, I think the biggest rock in my shoe right now is the whole texting thing. It can be kind of difficult to communicate with a contractor via text message. So I wanted to start there. I think texting is, in my opinion, for quick, easy messages, simple answers, 2-3 word answers, and for sure you're going to have, an understanding going on there. So are you guys, going to be here tomorrow? Yes. Or what time do you start in the morning? 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 8:30, whatever it is. Quick, easy messages that are easy to, client, we won't be there tomorrow. We'll be back, this day or something. I think what's not appropriate for text messages is, hey, this situation came up and I had this issue arise, end of text. And you try to text back and, well, what about this? Or did you think about that? Or how does this work? Or, it starts to, these paragraphs, there's no context in a text message. And you got to be careful because people can get their feelings hurt. You can get your feelings hurt. And it's just, in my opinion, it's not the best way to communicate with a contractor. If there's something that you actually have to talk about or an issue that needs to be resolved, stay away from texting. In my opinion, I think that's really not the place for it. And I think things can go awry quickly, or there can be misunderstandings. I have a tendency to read into, some tone into a text message. It's not there. And that's my mistake of, trying to understand what a client is saying to me or me trying to get a message across to them. And so it's just not a good way. Voicemail, at least you can hear a person's tone, what they're saying. There's some context there. You can kind of tell if somebody upset or they're happy, because there's so many different ways to, when we hear or have a conversation with people, and even in person, you can see body language, you can hear tone, and it makes a huge difference. We stress certain words. I can say one sentence, and if I stress a different word in that sentence, it can take on a completely different meaning. So in a voicemail, I would actually hear that. So I like voicemails. Again, if they're too long of a voicemail, it can get confusing. Emails can be really good, and I think are more appropriate for longer things, or for laying things out of like, here's what we talked about, here's what my choices are, 1, 2, 3. If option 2 doesn't work, I prefer this option. That can be great in emails because you have something to go back to, and you can look it up. It's a little more difficult with a voicemail. I guess you could go back and listen to the whole voicemail or try to figure it out. With email, you can attach pictures to show. And there's even video, live video feed from a phone can be an effective way. If you're out of town, maybe it's a second home for you, and you're, contractor's there, and you're trying to get a message across, and you can actually see the property and see what's going on there and the progress. That can be effective. So yeah, just the main point really is just to think about what you're doing and how you're communicating it across to get the best message to the contractor and you to get the best service and exactly what you want the first time and communicating. So there's just trying to eliminate any miscommunication. Obviously, the best thing is if you're there, under most circumstances and just face-to-face communication, walking around the job site. Even then, things can be misunderstood. So I like to get the paint can out because we're outside in the dirt and, painting out lines of where the patio is going to be, for instance. So even if you have a drawing or a sketch or something that you're going by, or a list of things or an order of things that are going to be done in, those all really help in communicating, getting your message across, and for the person who's doing work for you, for them to really understand what it is that you want and getting it right, just to make the whole process of this hiring a person and getting this job done to be as seamless and really great, experience. That's what I really strive for in my business, is to not only provide, a really good product that's going to work and last for a long time and have that client be happy with that, but along the whole process that it feels good the whole way through. And it is not easy, especially if you're really busy. It's being on the contracting side of it. If we're inundated with phone calls and appointments and jobs and employees and all these issues and everything, it can get difficult to really keep track of everything, and so it takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy and a lot of note taking and reviewing of voicemails, text messages, emails. And so that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, because there's an art to it for sure. And I think everyone's striving to really get their message across, and clients, you want a good job, and contractors, most of them, I believe, want to do a good job and get that message across. So think about that even during the estimate phase. When you're going to call a couple contractors to come over, get you a price or whatever, and, even if you get 3, 4, some people get 5 estimates, it would be extremely hard to get your message across in the same way to everyone. People hear things differently, interpret things differently. But the more prepared you are and the better you are at communicating exactly what you want done for that job and time frame you would like it done in, the budget you would like it done in, the clearer you can be and the more likely you are to get what you want, and the easier choice that it's going to be to decide who you want to work with. And so, I make a list because I hire contractors as well for my house. And, what I do my due diligence. Before I even call them, I check to make sure they're a contractor, and I check their contractor's license to make sure it's valid, and they have workers' comp insurance, because I don't want anything going on my homeowner's insurance. And, I'm a contractor, and I believe in, people being licensed and, legal and everything to do what you're licensed to do. And so, and then having all the proper insurances in place, at least from there, you can start and, because even within the legitimate licensed, experienced people, there's going to be people that you want to work with and people you don't, or whether they do a good job or not, or whatever. And so I'll make, once I kind of find out about them and make sure they're contractors and have all the proper, insurance and everything, then I'll make a list of everything that I want done ahead of time, call them, schedule the appointments, have them come out, and each contractor that I get the bid from, they get the same sheet. And it says exactly what I want done on there. When I was doing my house, I wanted to get my house painted. I wanted the eaves painted. I wanted them caulked. I told them it's going to be a darker color, so take that in consideration because I have a light color house now. And, here's the parameters of what I want, 2-story home or, whatever it is. And I had it all listed out, cracks filled or, whatever it is that you want. And so that they have an understanding and ahead of time, in my field, landscaping, this is a super broad trade. So there could be any number of, patio or sprinklers or sod, plants, edging, I want boulders, I want a water feature or fire pit or, and then even within all that, it's difficult. And there's so many choices too on all the different materials. So there's a lot of decisions to be made going through a job and a lot of communication that needs to happen. So the idea is the more solid you are in what it is that you want. And because, it happens, you just figure, well, I want to get something done. And there's, sometimes I'll come across people who haven't even discussed it within themselves between a husband and wife. It's like, well, husband wants one thing, the wife wants something else, and they can't decide on what they want together. And I'm already there at the estimate and they're getting multiple bids. I'm thinking, how are we going to communicate with what I'm bidding, what the other guy's bidding, this price, that price? How do you make a good decision? So the clearer you are on what you want, the more decisions you made with your partner ahead of time and understanding that, yeah, this is what we want. This is what we want to spend. This is the list of things that we'd like. Here's even, some clients will even do a little computer modeling if that's what you're into, or, a little sketch. Not necessary, of course. You could, the best way I like to do it is just out 3D in the yard right here, this area, or you can drag a hose out. I want this area, that area to be something else. Here's the list of items we have to have. Here's optionals if it exceeds our budget. It's just, you're going to be able to have a much better experience than if you hadn't done that, because it's going to be hard for you to be able to decide who to hire and what a good price is and what a not good price is, because everybody wants, regardless of what the budget is, we all want the best bang for our buck. We want the most we can get for the least amount of money. Of course, you want good quality products, most of us, that will last, but not over the top crazy expensive unless you just got money to burn, which, it's even then, it's like more money you have, it seems like there's a reason, because you understand not to waste money. So, unless you won the lottery, I guess. But even then, make good decisions. I really can't think of a situation where I wouldn't want to, spend money wisely. But look up, things online. There's tons of pictures, Pinterest, all these apps and things that you can look at. There's some great websites, house.com, or, look at the people's websites, even if they're not from the area. You want to be careful with plant material, looking at things out of the area, but for hardscaping or any other types of trades, you can look up any website really and get ideas, pull ideas from those pictures, print out certain ones, circle the things that you do like about that. And all that stuff's going to make it way easier to communicate and get the idea of what you want across. I'm always trying to get into the client's head and try to get a vision for how they see the world, what they are looking for, so that somehow if I can come up with that and create that and give it to them at the end of the job, they're going to be totally happy and stoked, and the job's going to go really well, and they're going to get a really good value for that project. And so it's something that's super important and I'm really passionate about, and I love doing it. So stay away from things of thinking to yourself, oh, they're the professional, they'll know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm not a landscaper. I'm not a, concrete person or whatever it is. I'm not a roofer. How am I going to know? But you know what you like. And even if you aren't sure, it's better to find out and get an idea of, as you're looking at things, there'll be things that appeal to you and things that don't. And the more that you do that, and the clearer you are with your vision, the easier it's going to be to explain that to someone, and the more likely you're going to be super happy, at the end. So, making a folder, putting ideas in there, making an online. I had a client send me a bunch of Pinterest pictures, which is great. I saw things on there, and I was like, wow, okay, he's thinking that. I wasn't even thinking that he had that for an idea. So it was really cool, and it's eye-opening. And usually if you're hiring contractors, not very often, you might even be doing it for the first time. And, I do it every week, several times a week, and communicating and trying to understand, trying to get in clients' minds and say, what do they want and how's this going to work? And the ones that are clear on their decisions, the more pictures I see, any notes or drawings or everything that they have, the easier it is for me to give them, what they want. And I think the happier they are at the end of the job. So another thing you could do is going down to the showrooms and checking out the materials and the colors and the textures and the patterns. And you don't have to be overwhelmed by it, but why not jump into it? Why not check it out? See what appeals to you. It might be sometimes, honestly, it's what people don't like. If you went to the nursery with me and we were walking around and, we said, well, okay, I want some nice plants that grow in this area, whatever. I don't really know anything about plants. You're the professional. I hear that a lot. And then it's like, okay, well, yeah, but I don't want to plant all the same plants that I would do in my yard. It's not my yard. It's your yard. And I don't want all my designs to look all the same anyway. I want input. I want to know what you like, even if it's what you don't like. One thing, I show you a flax. And I don't like that plant. You don't have to know it's a flax. You just know you don't like that. And then I show you a grass. I don't like that one either. And then I'll show you a yucca. And I was like, I don't like that one either. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this client doesn't like spiky, formal type look plant. So that's not your style, which is great. Because maybe I love that, and I was going to put one right by your front door, and you're not into them. That's awesome. That type of thing is exactly what I'm talking about. And getting that communication across is huge. So going to showrooms, going to the nursery, going to a manufacturer, looking at what they have, looking at the options, and even if it's something that you don't like, you could prevent a big headache or taking something back or, having to return things or paying restocking fees or delayed times and projects. And all those things can just a little bit of forethought ahead of time and not allowing yourself to tell yourself that I don't know, or they're the professionals, or, I don't know any what I like or my style or whatever. Everyone has a style. I truly believe that. You can even look around your own home and see what have you done. What are the colors that you've chosen for your couch or your chairs or the walls or the kitchen and your car or the clothes, your wardrobe. All those are all clues, and you can just say like, okay, here's what it is. This is my style. This is the feel, and have that relayed to your contractors, and you're going to have a really good experience. I think you're going to have a much smoother, transition between what you have in your mind of what you think that you're going to want and then the actual end result. So awesome. Think about that. When we come back from the break, I do want to talk a little bit more about colors, sizes, styles, patterns. And because once they're in, it's going to be in for a long time. So again, you can always check us out on the web. I love to come home.com. That's Chaparral Pavers. Check us out on YouTube. You can catch all our radio shows on our YouTube channel. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
You're listening to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on California's Central Coast. Here on 1240 AM and 99.5 FM, KSMA.
This show is brought to you by Airval Block. Concrete paving stones or pavers are not all created equal. Airval block pavers are created from a dry mix of gravel, sand, cement, and color. With very little water used, they're super strong. They won't crack or fade. And to be an Airval block paver, the gravel and sand come from right here on the Central Coast, supporting our local community. Airval Block is the only local manufacturer of concrete masonry products like pavers, mortarless retaining wall blocks. Airval Block products are high quality for peace of mind, and there are many colors to choose from. And if you're not sure which products you need or how to use them, you will always get expert advice from the staff at Airval Block. Products made on the Central Coast for the Central Coast. Visit their fully landscaped outdoor showroom to see the many ways you can use Airval Block products at number 1 Suburban Road in San Luis Obispo, or go online at airvalblock.com.
If you're thinking about installing a new paver patio or paver driveway, check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetoComeHome.com. Serving the Central Coast since 2001, Chaparral Pavers will work with you to get it right and complete the job to your specifications, as customer service is king at Chaparral Pavers. Paver driveways are stylish and durable and guaranteed to never crack. If your old concrete driveway or entryway is a hazardous cracking mess, it's time to call Chaparral Pavers. Go to their website, ilovetoComeHome.com. You'll find all the information you need. Check out photographs of past installations and reviews from Central Coast residents who have used Chaparral Pavers. And don't forget, all installations are guaranteed for the life of your home. So check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetoComeHome.com. Chaparral Pavers, they'll make you love to come home. Now, back to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on KSMA.
And we're back. Okay, we are talking about communication. So it's kind of an interesting topic. It's not really has anything too much to do with outside and landscaping and sprinklers and all this kind of stuff that we normally talk about on this show. But I thought it was important because it's come up for me in the last week or so, and I like to kind of take inspiration from, being out there and being a contractor and dealing with, clients and jobs and issues and communication coming up. And so there's just crazy amount of ways to communicate with people these days. There's too many options in my opinion, but what are we going to do? There's not, and different people like communicating in different ways. Even to get my hair cut with my hairdresser, it's a text, that's just what she does. And so obviously she prefers that. I prefer, maybe I'm old school of talking to someone. Just hearing their voice, hearing the inflections, the tone, the stress on a word. One sentence could mean something completely different just by how you stress certain words. And so texting is kind of rocking my shoe. Email it can be a good way. Again, there's really no context behind that, but at least you can lay things out, kind of label them. You can attach pictures. Voicemails, you can hear certain things, and it's tough for a contractor to be super busy and to really give great customer service, and you're having to look in all these different places to find out who's communicating with you. I might get a message on Facebook, or someone's messaged me from a website like Yelp, or I have a voicemail, or then someone text messages me, and then the email, or it's just, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, the world that we're in, and it's gotten hard to keep track of all these different things. A lot of places to look to see who's communicated with me regarding this or that or whatever. And so, I wanted to bring that to light today and really think about what is the best way for what you're trying to accomplish to communicate with a contractor, either before a job, during the estimate phase. And it just seemed like an appropriate topic to talk about today. So, yes, and, where we left off was kind of going to showrooms, going to the nursery, going to the manufacturers, and looking at the items, deciding what your style is, what you like, whether you know it or don't, because it's there and it comes out. And even if it's what you don't like that can be brought to light, then that's really can help the job go really well, and for you to get exactly what it is that you want. And so, and speaking of going to showrooms, Airval Block, who we have in San Luis, it has a fantastic showroom and a huge areas of all their products and, ideas of what to do with certain things. And they are a sponsor here of the show, and definitely go down and check them out, support them. Or if you're, talking with the landscaper or getting a job done, if they're using Airval products, find out what colors, find out if there's other styles, ask about the patterns. That can be huge. There's so many different patterns. Let's say if you're doing a paver job and I don't know what my style is, I don't know what colors are, I don't know anything about the different pavers, that's fine. You go down to the manufacturer or to some sort of a showroom, and if you're in a different city, I'm sure there's one nearby, or your contractor will know, where to go and look. Or if you're taking the project on yourself, it's even more important. And look at all the different patterns and see what your options are and see if something stands out to you. And it's those little details that are going to make your job a little more special, a little more personalized, and you're going to be that much happier with it. It could even be the difference of a border. Are they going to use a border for the pavers? And if you're using, say, a 1-1-1 pattern and it includes the big ones, maybe you have a small patio, you might not want the big pavers. If there's 3 sizes, you may only want 2 sizes. And you might want a big border, you might want a small border. You might want to change the color of the border. But if you can't see it, if you don't even know, those are your options, and yes, the contractor should bring it up and tell you, but if they don't, you can ask the question and say, hey, what pattern are you going to use? I love that question. What color is the border going to be? Is it going to be the same as the inside? What about if we turned it at a 45-degree angle off the house? What would that look like? Because sometimes they just want to get the job done, get in there, and we're going to lay them straight lines and be done. It's faster, no cuts. Is that really what you want? Is that really the best way? So that is what I wanted to talk about today, so that you can really think about the best way to communicate, the best way to have fun and enjoy the process of you spending a bunch of money and getting all these new products. And it should be exciting and fun, and it really improving your home or whatever it is that you're doing. That's all the time we've got for today. Check us out on the web. You know it. ilovetokomehome.com. Check out our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week.
This has been Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers. Go to ilovetokomehome.com to find out more, or call 805-588-6917. And be sure and tune in next week at this same time for Patio Side Chats here on KSMA.